Today we are taking a look at the 2025 Nissan Armada, Nissan's full-size body-on-frame SUV, which, when you think about it, is one of only 5 full-size body-on-frame SUVs in the US auto market. We have General Motors' portfolio of full-size SUVs with the Tahoe Suburban, Yukon XL, and Escalade. We have the Ford Expedition and Lincoln Navigator, the Toyota Sequoia, the Lexus LX, and then this Armada and its Infiniti counterpart, the QX80. So let's take a detailed walk around of these two 2025 Nissan Armadas to see what Nissan has done with its new full-size SUV. This 2025 Nissan Armada represents the third generation for Nissan's full-size SUV, and with that, they have definitely taken a more modern approach. We have crisp LED daytime running lights with a C-shaped signature on either side of the front of the car, a massive grille, which kind of is proportional to this massive vehicle, and some lower fog lamps down here. This is the top of the line Platinum Reserve trim level, and over here we have the new off-road oriented Pro 4X trim level. So we'll take a look at both of these models to see where they differ. Coming along to the side of the Platinum Reserve model, you can see we have a mini spoked 22-inch rim. This is the biggest wheel size you are going to get on the Nissan Armada, so definitely a bit smaller than Ford and Chevy, who are now offering 24s on their full-size SUV, although the ride is probably a bit better with these 22s than the 24s. I'm not going to get a chance to drive these vehicles today, but definitely stay tuned for future content about this car's ride. Coming along to the side, we can see that this Platinum Reserve model does have a two-tone color combination with a black accented roof and a red lower section that definitely gives this a pretty premium look. And I do like this chrome line that runs along the bottom of the greenhouse and then up to the midpoint of the D-pillar. Definitely a very upright, tall, and large vehicle. I mean, this is a full-size SUV, and you definitely get that when you're just looking at this car. It is colossal, not quite as long as something like a Chevy Suburban or a Ford Expedition Max, but still very, very big. Approaching the rear end of the Armada, this is definitely where the design has changed the most, and it is the most updated. I do really like this Armada logo we get on the D-pillar, spelled out, stamped in chrome. I think that is a really premium look. And then coming along to the back, we can see we have this kind of like light bar effect running through the Nissan logo. And just like the new Chevy Tahoe and the new Ford Expedition, we have a black bar running across the top of the back of the tailgate. That's really interesting now that 3 full-size SUVs have that trend. I don't know who was in a meeting with who, but everyone seems to be doing this black section between the taillights just below the glass in the back of their full-size SUVs now. And as you can see, we have a massive Platinum Reserve logo so that everyone knows that this is the top of the line Nissan Armada. And again, one thing to note is just how upright the back of this vehicle is. There is basically no curve to the back of this car. It is almost a 90-degree angle, very practical, very large once again. And on this Platinum Reserve model, we can't really see the exhaust tips. It's just hidden under here, one exhaust tip, and every Nissan Armada has an 8,500-pound towing capacity. All right, now opening up the tailgate of the Armada, of course, it is power. This is a massive tailgate. You would expect that. We're going to find 20.4 cubic feet of storage behind the third row, definitely big enough for grocery bags, maybe a couple of carry-on suitcases as well. This is definitely, though, the detriment of one of these shorter wheelbase full-size SUVs. Something like a Suburban or an Expedition Max is going to have a lot of space behind the third row for all of your luggage, but it's still plenty of space, very practical. We can lower the third row of seats, if I can figure it out, just using these tabs right here. They go down automatically. That raises our cargo capacity to 56.3 cubic feet of storage. And again, it's just such a practical shape, so square and open, very usable. Then we can also lower the third row, or the second row of seats, sorry, they just flop down manually. You can't raise them automatically. That raises our cargo capacity to 97.1 cubic feet of storage. So again, a lot of space, but something like a Chevy Tahoe is going to offer you about 140 cubic feet of storage with all seats folded down. So while this is colossal, it does get even bigger. Another thing to note is that the Nissan Armada does have air suspension, so if you feel the load floor is a bit too tall, you can press this button to lower the back of the car a little bit to make it easier to load things in. Now moving over to the Pro 4X Nissan Armada, again, this is the off-road oriented trim level new for this third generation Armada. We can see we have a bit of a different grille, these black kind of bars that go across, and orange accents on the Nissan logo. We also have these like little chrome slits across the front of the hood, which is kind of cool. And we can see we have a larger approach angle. It's been adjusted slightly to give you slightly more ground clearance when approaching obstacles off-road. And you can see we also have a skid plate and some tow hooks down there, also in that orange accent. Another difference between Pro 4X and Reserve Ultimate are the wheels and tires. These are 20-inch rims with a larger sidewall around them and all-terrain tires that are a bit knobblier and will give you a little more traction. We also have an orange Armada logo on the D-pillar, which is definitely pretty cool. And around back, we have a few more black accents and again, that orange Nissan logo, which definitely makes this Pro 4X stand out. And of course, a Pro 4X logo down on the side. Now, under the hood of all 2025 Nissan Armadas, we're going to find a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 that makes 425 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. That's up 25 horsepower and 103 pound-feet of torque from the old V8. Definitely an increase there. And this is actually an evolution of the engine found in the Nissan GT-R, so that is pretty cool. And again, this is the only engine option for the 2025 Nissan Armada. So if you really want a V8, really your only options now is General Motors, as they will still offer you a pair of them. Everyone else has moved to 6 cylinders. All right, let us now climb into the 2025 Nissan Armada. You can see we have a fixed running board, which is definitely appreciated in this very tall car. And then we have a pretty modern interior. Let me start this car up. The engine roars to life, your steering wheel and seat will move into position. Overall, this is definitely a massive improvement over the former generation Nissan Armada. It is filled with tech. These dual 14.3-inch displays are pretty crisp and clear, although I will say the native system, the native software, is not that impressive to look at. It's just fairly old looking in terms of the skins and the user interface, but luckily you do have Apple CarPlay, which takes up a large share of the screen, as well as Android Auto. Elsewhere, we have a lot of physical controls, which I really appreciate. We do have push button gear selecting, which is fine, not my favorite, but I can adjust my temperature, fan speed, and my heated and cooled seat settings physically, which I really like that you don't have to go into this infotainment system, as well as all of our drive modes. You can also change your 4 high, 4 low if you do have 4-wheel drive. I will note, however, that all of these buttons are gloss black and therefore are going to get very fingerprinty, which is a little annoying. I wish they had gone with a matte finish. And it's the same story on the steering wheel. Already you can see they were trying to clean this one, but not only can you see the streaks from the cleaning, you can also see that indirect sunlight. It's kind of hard to see what these controls are doing. You kind of have to cover the sun with your hand in order to see what you're supposed to be doing with these controls. I wish they were just physical individual buttons instead of this weird, haptic where the whole thing moves based on where you press it. That's a bit annoying. So that's why gloss black isn't the best material for cars, and that's why these backlit controls also aren't the best because of direct sunlight. But on the whole, I think it is a really good design. That's just kind of a nitpick. You also have super soft leather all throughout this Platinum Reserve model, on the steering wheel, up on the dash, and these seats. These are pretty beautiful saddle brown seats that are both heated, ventilated, and massaging, and they are also Nissan's zero-gravity seats inspired by NASA. They are actually very comfortable. I have to say, zero-gravity seats are really comfortable. Moving this center console back, we have a wireless charging pad and 2 cup holders. Nice to see. Again, armrest very soft, nicely padded, as is like this section right here, so your knee doesn't hit any plastic. All of that's really nice. Armada spelled out in big aggressive font. And then we have a decent size center console right there. So I think Nissan did a lot right with this interior. There are just a couple things like the gloss black controls predominantly that could use some improvement. We also have a virtual rear view mirror because there is a lot of car to look back through in this Armada. Let's climb now into the second row of the 2025 Nissan Armada. And again, this gorgeous leather continues here in the back. I really do like it. And in this Platinum Reserve model, we have captain's chairs here. Again, using that fixed running board to climb into place. And we can see these captain's chairs have the same gorgeous leather, and they are also zero gravity seats if they are manually adjusting and they don't have the massage. But again, super comfortable. And if I flip the camera around, you can see I at 6'2" have plenty of headroom and plenty of knee room behind my ideal driving position. This is actually adjusted a bit further back than my ideal driving position, so plenty of knee room. And again, how soft the armrests are is really impressive. That definitely helps make this car pretty luxurious. And if we turn on this rear climate control, you can see we have 3-zone automatic climate controls, 1, 2, and then 3 in the back, and heated seats here in the back, not ventilated though. A pair of cup holders, rather low down, but it's nice that there is a space to climb into the 3rd row, which I will do momentarily. And we have a pair of USB-C charging outlets and a little storage right here. So, oh, and 2 more USB-C charging outlets below the back of the center console. So let's climb into the 3rd row now. Ugh, easier said than done. And here, if I raise my headrest, I actually do fit. My head does hit the ceiling if I sit all the way upright, but I would say I could sit back here for a half hour, no problems. I have an air vent right here, which is nice. Just enough knee room behind this chair in front of me, and I can actually recline this seat. Oh, there we go. So there I'm now in a slightly more comfortable position. 1 USB-C charging outlet and 4 cup holders back here, which is rather impressive. And these windows are definitely very large and let in a lot of light. And then we can take a view of the up front, which again, I think they just did a really good job with the overall design of this Armada. It is quite a pretty interior, and you get this panoramic sunroof, which is definitely a plus. I want to take a moment to climb into the back of the Pro 4X as well to show you the bench seat configuration, which this trim level does have, and you can see the orange accents you get in this Pro 4X trim level. So we have a pretty comfortable bench seat, similar setup with this panoramic sunroof, and your climate controls down here. You can fold down the center armrest to reveal a pair of cup holders, and they're actually a bit more easily placed than in the Platinum Reserve because they are closer to you than that other vehicle. But again, a very spacious 2nd row. I have plenty of knee room and headroom here in the 2nd row. And talking about things that are mechanically different between this Pro 4X and that Platinum Reserve, there aren't much. You get a locking rear differential and hill descent control. And those things paired with the exterior differences like the skid plates, the tow hooks, the wheels and tires are really the only changes. So I would argue it's mostly a visual appearance package than a really comprehensive off-road upgrade. I kind of wish they had done a bit more to make this Pro 4X trim level, but there you have it. That is what you get with the Pro 4X trim level. Definitely a cool looking one. Definitely a cool looking trim level, but again, not quite as different as I would have hoped. So that was a detailed walk around of the 2025 Nissan Armada shown here in the Platinum Reserve and Pro 4X trim levels. Now we must talk about price. So the base Nissan Armada starts at $56,000. That is a rear wheel drive vehicle. And the Pro 4X over here starts at $73,000, only available with 4-wheel drive. And this Platinum Reserve model will set you back $80,000. Definitely a pretty penny, but then again, this entire segment is getting very expensive, and this is kind of par for the course. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.